You are a civil servant. Do you mean the desperation has got to those government offices? Like
everybody is selling something in the office.
A lecturer is selling mandazi? A whole...
Yes, people are selling mandazi, brass, what, everything. Mtumba.
Mtumba is creeping to the
this is a Mtumba economy. Those things have been there. If you want, if you are giving people funds, whether they are hustler fund or Fuliza fund or whatever they are, what assessment have you made that to conclude that so and so, if given this money, can do business?
Now you have it, now you don't. Well, that's the new normal in Kenya's labor market. Each passing day we are seeing increased redundancies, layoffs here and there, left, right and center. Now, what is the future of work in Kenya's landscape, and is there anything the government or stakeholders therein can do to remedy the situation before it really haunts many of Kenyans who are depending on these jobs for a rewarding future and of course to sustain themselves in the present? My name is Richard Mwanjam. That makes the basis line of our conversation today here on Business Glide, a show that touches on matters public policy and economics at large. I'm yours truly, Richard Mwanjam, and with me is East Africa's most renowned political analyst and public scholar, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Actually, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Just recently you turned a year older, and I'm wondering, have you planted that mango tree that people go to and sit under for retirement?
Yes, I inherited from my father.
You're not hardworking in life. You haven't planted one of your own?
I have mine for my great-grandchildren, but this one I'm from my father. And maybe my son or two, then the ones I've planted will be for others. Are
you born strong enough for the 2027 campaign? You are launching your presidential bid?
Of course, of course.
Come on.
Yes.
Aging like fine wine.
This country requires a rebirth. We must deliver this country.
Do you think you're that healthy and strong as Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is not a healthy man. That's an old man. I'm a young man.
All right, so let's delve into today's conversation. And we are talking matters to do with layoffs. These past weeks, the headlines have been awash, especially from the media fraternities and these blue chip companies. Many Kenyans are sent packing under the guise of the wage bill is ballooning over time. Let's start here. When early 2020, when COVID came on board, of course, jobs were declared redundant, and many Kenyans literally accepted those changes. But then again, 2021, we saw post-COVID response measures being put in place by the government and also by private entities. But when it comes to 2022 and things were seeming afloat, and then we go back to that phase of it, would you first say that from the general outlook, it's just a case of private entities looking for supernormal profits and not the guys that it's because of COVID that we are still here declaring layoffs day in, day out?
You know, it's not something you can just analyze in a very simple way and say, it's the greed of multinationals and blue chip companies to make profits. Well, that's part of it. But there are also other forces. The economic hardship being felt across the globe has always resulted in, is always resulting in people being laid off. Is being fed in the labor market. New changes of technology and many changes mean that people will lose their jobs. Machines coming in, even in the tea plucking industry, the tea industry and tea plantations rather. But what you have said is true. There are many people who, many companies and organizations that any opportunity they get to maximize their profit, they will always go for it. And the first opportunity is always to lay off people. So any technology coming, advancement in IT and artificial intelligence, instead of, artificial intelligence should not replace people in the sense in which it is doing here. It should in fact make the economy grow much bigger and employ a lot more people. But for us, we are working in the reverse. When new ways of doing things come, we lay off people. No, those new ways should make production better, the economy grow, and we hire more people.
I see.
Yeah.
Very well. But then again, if you look at the recent redundancies being declared all over the place, especially in the agricultural sector, we've seen tea industries sending people away. We've seen media houses. For trade unions
Yes.
who are to look into interest of such affected employees, we've seen rampant cases of people not given their severance pay, their dues that are being owed by their employers, and all these things that should be accorded to someone when they have been declared redundant. Is it because that we have this mentality of their companies which are untouchables, or they belong to influential people, that even getting your dues when you declare laying off becomes such a bureaucratic process to go through?
Government itself has that problem. It doesn't pay pension. So where will they get the courage? Where will they get the moral authority to push companies to pay people when they lay them off? Terminal dues, when the government takes ages to pay people their pension.
Come on. It's happening?
Of course. I'm always trying to help teachers to get pension. A retired teacher goes through a lot of pain to get their pension.
Over 30 years serving the nation?
40, not even 30.
Really?
They go through a lot of pain. Some of them even sell land, sell property to be able to process. Because all of a sudden your salary has come to an end. You still have children in school, or you have things, given grandchildren, or whatever you have. You need to eat yourself and things of that nature. You have children in college. But you see a retiree selling land instead of keeping that and maybe adding an extra acre.
But for those who are all over the place and putting the complaint, or rather the baggage, at the doorstep for Atoli, saying that all those trade unions affiliated to KOTU, he is the person who should take responsibility, because there are so many employees from the energy sector who've been affected, yet their interests have not been heard of by the government when it comes to terminal dues. Would you say that now that Atoli is the face of trade unionism in Kenya, that somehow he took a back row seat when it comes to this election year to spearhead the interest of the workers?
I happen to know, not just because Atoli is my friend and a brother, but I also happen to know that there's so much that KOTU did during COVID, for example. I'll just cite one thing. Atoli got government, there's this tripartite arrangement where there's government, employers, through the FKE, Federation of Kenya Employers, then there's the government Ministry of Labor, and then the workers through their unions. When COVID hit hard, and every organization, every companies were laying off people, Atoli, through KOTU, money to get government and the Federation of Kenya Employers to sit down and strike a deal. And there are workers today who really owe it to Atoli that they still have their jobs. For example, certain companies, especially in the volatile sector, the hotel industries, the agricultural sector, it's okay, fine. You are going to lay off people. But let us reach an agreement that when things look up again and you are employing, don't go for new people, because it is easier to employ a new person in your hotel because you'll pay them less.
Lesser.
They'll accept anything than bringing the old person. So companies committed themselves that when things get back to normal or as near normal as possible, they will not hire new people. Others agreed to put people on half salary. I see. In fact, I was witness to one of those when it was happening in his home. Some organizations, some employers had come to his home and I was there to go and pay him a visit. Others, they committed themselves. We are going to pay people half salary. But when things change, become better, we will not only bring people who are home back, but the half salary you are getting, the other half we shall pay you. This is from just an example of what KOTU did. But the people want to see the politics because Atoli was supporting Raila. That's what people are saying. But again, you must also understand, trade union matters are also very difficult. Governments are also very hesitant to push employers hard because you are also looking at investors. You are also looking at your country not being a friendly country to investors. You see those kind of dynamics.
Absolutely.
So even governments are also very careful not to push employers too hard. It's a very difficult balancing act. And the seasoned trade unions like Atoli know that.
I see.
Yeah.
Well noted. But then again, if you're looking at these layoffs and people being poured into the streets unemployed, would you say that Ruto's government just trying to to plug into that deficit. The creation of the Hustler Fund will at least be now the silver lining that will absorb these people and actually give them the seed capital to venture into the Jokali sector or into the informal sector at large.
There's nowhere where handouts of that nature have spurred economic growth.
You call Hustler Fund a handout?
Yeah, those are just funds given to people. Because it's not for business, it's just for people to get. When I Fuliza myself, I Fuliza maybe to buy salt in my house, not to do business.
But don't you
so
think...
this government Fuliza is not for business.
But remember this...
I have Fuliza so far hundreds of thousands, if not millions, since Fuliza was... I never put a single coin of that into business. It's just for my own things. Gas imeisha kwa nyumba na Fuliza. So, if you give somebody 500 shillings, look at even the amount. What kind of business can somebody do with 500 shillings?
But that someone, Shiro Ariwaka, can still go and access the Women Enterprise Fund, top it up with Hustler Fund, do the bit of Fuliza, the Youth Fund. Come on.
Those things have been there. If you are giving people funds, whether they are Hustler Fund or Fuliza Fund or whatever they are, what assessment have you made to conclude that so and so, if given this money, can do business? When the banks give you money for business, they don't just give you. They then look at your capacity to repay. I'm not well paid, but I have a salary. Any bank will have no problem giving me a loan which I can pay even 100,000 per month.
You have the collateral.
No, they don't even need collateral. They can get from my salary. But if it is a business loan, they are not so much interested in the... Of course, it's important. They will not be guided by the fact that I can pay 50,000 per month. Comfortable. No. They are guided by the viability of my projects. What is it I want to do? How viable is it? That's what banks look for. That's what lenders look for. The viability of what you want to do. Not that you have a source from which you can pay the loan. No. So if you give people money, you Fuliza to them, without even knowing what business they are doing, how can that create business in your thing?
Now, for the same Kenyans who many of them have succumbed to job layoffs in there, all those others who are out here in despair because they don't have a job, would you say that for them right now, with the oncoming of technology, the country is trying to go the digitization way, but now even the coming digitization, jobs are being lost. Would you say that for them it will really be an issue to the government? Because look at these people who need so much mental fortitude to forge ahead. This kind of mental stress, when it balloons in someone, what could be the ripple effect for the nation at large or for the governance structures? When many Kenyans at home, they are full of stress, don't have a job, what could be the outcome in the fullness of time?
No country is safe with so many jobless young people, especially those who, when a big chunk of the jobless people are educated people. No country can say it's safe. You can't be safe.
But they can be.
Look at the banking sector. I've given an example. The turnover in the banks and the other financial institutions is so high because they think they have young people to exploit. So they pay them 20,000 shillings, 30,000 shillings. So that makes the turnover very high. Someone tries to work for a year in a bank or 2 years, it's a waste of time. So they leave. Now when you have a pool of such a young people who have access to banking knowledge, they know the workings of banks. The banks are not safe with their money. And that's why they are losing lots of money, millions, hundreds of millions.
And all those banking frauds all over the place.
The banks and the financial institutions and government must think so that when you are a bank, don't exploit young people because they are there outside there. Pay them well so that the turnover is not as high as it is. You are creating a pool of dangerous people outside there.
But then again, with the country trying to forge towards fully going the digital way,
yes,
would you say that probably bringing down the cost of technology in Kenya, which is still so high,
yes,
will at least absorb so many of these jobless people into the creative industry? They'll go probably to YouTube or to all the other social media platforms and do e-commerce and all kind of businesses. Would you say that the cost of data in this country should first at least go down so that many Kenyans who are jobless can be absorbed into the creative industry?
I don't think even if data was free, people will go where you are saying. It's a lot bigger than just data. It's a lot bigger than that.
Come on.
What you would be saying, do we have a minister in charge of labor?
We do have.
Do you have a minister in charge of ICT?
There.
Do you have a minister in charge of education? Do you have a government in place? Government must facilitate thinking. The problems we have in this country cannot be solved without big thinking. Government must facilitate big thinking and engage people with the capacity to think. and hire the best men and women to run government. There's no other way. There are no solutions I can give you here for anything. The only solution I can give you, facilitate thinking. Let us begin to be in love with thinking. Hard work. Let us employ the best men and women we can get in this country for any job. That's the only thing I can tell you, if we must get out of the problems we are in.
Very lastly, sir, from a general standpoint, we've seen many Kenyans in a bid just to cushion themselves from the effects of being declared redundant. There's this new appetite of creating side hustles. I am here working at Nairobi Review, but I'd probably have a shoe shop in Gikomba, etc. Would you say this appetite for every Kenyan to have a side hustle is the right way to go? Or definitely it shows the country is going to the ruins?
Side hustles are not bad, but it's an indicator of a problem.
How so?
The problem is we do not have living wages in this country. We do not have salaries in this country.
What do we have then?
We just have slave wages. And no country will progress. This country cannot progress unless we pay people well. Because when you pay people well, then they have disposable income. Then they can save. It is through saving that we get investment and so on, and that circle of creating jobs and savings and investment. It is through good salary that we have people with spending power. So I laugh a lot when I see people putting up high-end malls. And there are no people to go and shop there. You can see how stupid Kenyans can be. All these high-end malls, go there on Saturday. People are just taking selfies. Go to Switzerland. 5 minutes to time, closing time, even if you show them $10 million. You show them this card has $10 million, they cannot open for you.
But here it goes until midnight.
Here, people are taking selfies in these big malls. Just go and check. Just go and check. Take time. So you must pay people well so that you are people who can save to spur economic growth. So you are people with spending capacity so that the economy can grow.
I see.
But because you pay people slave wages, everybody is trying to sell mandazi and the rest.
Is it happening?
And the confusion, everything. So that the economy is so informal. Another danger of that is that the economy is so informal that even where there are activities, you can't raise taxes from such an informal, and the capacity of any sector is hampered by the informality. And the taxes cannot be raised. In a country where 80% of business is informal, how can you maximize on profits and enjoy the benefits of technology and new knowledge? How can you collect taxes?
You are a civil servant. Do you mean the desperation has got to those government offices? Like
everybody is selling something in the office.
A lecturer is selling mandazi? A whole...
Yes, people are selling mandazi, brass, what, everything. Mtumba.
Mtumba is creeping to the
this is a Mtumba economy.
Then things are bad.
So pay people well, number one. Once you pay people well, you have created a class of consumers.
I get it.
You see? And the people who can save. So that even insurance, there will be penetration of insurance. People think insurance is a luxury. People don't insure because they don't have salaries.
I see.
You get it?
Very well.
So there will be penetration of many other things, and the economy will grow and balloon. But start by paying people
well. Modern day salaries.
Yes.
Well, of course, that point by Herman Manyora takes us to the wrap of this conversation on Business Glide, talking on matters Kenya's labor market and how it can better respond to the issue of job redundancies day in, day out. Time for fun of the week. It is none other than this lady from Kapkoi Saisol. She's called Lucy Watiri.
Lucy Watiri from
Kapkoi Saisol.
Kapkoi Saisol.
Yeah.
Welcome and thank you very much, Lucy.
All right. Until next time on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenje. Such a pleasure to always have you on board. Up next on your screen is the Business Glide African proverb of the day.